Well, I anticipated that there would be certain things that both sides of the House agreed on during this MPI, and that's partly because the minister only yesterday addressed the issue of how women have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19. And she said women have been the hardest hit through COVID-19. Our participation figures show that 325,000 women have lost their jobs, and the women's workforce participation rate has fallen 0.9 percentage points to 58.4 percentage points. And this is partly due to the fact, of course, that women are heavily represented in sectors with sharp decreases in paid work: hospitality, tourism and retail. So I thought, OK, there's a certain amount of stuff here that we're on the same page with for a change, that they actually accept the facts. But what we've had today, rather than an acceptance that there's a gender inequality in the way coronavirus has played out through our economy and through our social structures, we've had, number one, well, we had a denial, total denial that that could even be the case. We had someone telling us, a minister telling us, women have never had it so good. And we've also had things in the chamber today demonstrated best by the Prime Minister when asked about the serious issue of women with no access to maternity services finding themselves giving birth on the side of a road that, we've got an answer for that, we're going to upgrade that road. Now, this is just classic of how out of date. I thought the other side had learned through this crisis that you have to look at the evidence, you have to listen to the experts. Clearly, they have learnt nothing. There is there's one other thing they clearly haven't done, and that is read their own agency's report. The Workplace Gender Equality Agency, only last month, so they've actually had a little bit of time to read it, has put together a fabulous document exploring the ways in which women have been disproportionately impacted by coronavirus. You know, if they won't take the advice of their own agencies, we don't have much hope. There is no doubt that, as ACTU leader Sally McManus said this week, there is a pink recession happening, and it's being acknowledged by the government's own documents. Women, of course, were the warriors in the home during this pandemic. They were maintaining work if they still had a job, they were supervising learning at home, and they were worrying about their older relatives and their neighbours. I saw women doing incredible things to reach out to their community. The Mountain of Joy group in Kurrajong Heights, who fed people every night and no doubt are still feeding people who are concerned about spending too much time outside their homes because of their age or their vulnerability. Women did amazing things. Women were the warriors in the workplace. 87% of registered nurses and midwives are women, 87% of aged care workers are women, 96% of early child educated workers are women. The percentage of cleaners who are women, the high percentage of teachers who are now back in the classroom, literally with kids who are not able to enforce social distancing in the same way that we have the privilege of being able to do here. Women were the warriors, and that's why they need extra support to get back up into the place that they deserve, whether it's pay equality, whether it's an equality around who has jobs. But unfortunately at the moment, we've got a government who thinks that it's fine just to do jobs for the boys. That's what we've had. And that's not because women can't do these jobs. It's because the government has singled out sectors and given them support, not the arts sector where there's lots of women, not universities where there are lots of women, but construction, where the facts show us that there are more men choosing to work in that sector than women. That's the inequality. And I thought it was very interesting to hear Associate Professor Alicia Blackham, who researches workplace discrimination and inequality at the University of Melbourne, and she described it as the pandemic magnifying the already existing inequalities in the labour market. She says women were already overrepresented in insecure work. They're more likely to be on casual contracts with no paid leave entitlements, so there's no obligation to employ them in an ongoing basis. That's why women are disproportionately affected, and that's why we need a plan. And that's not even touching on the issue of women and superannuation.
Order. The honourable member's time is expired.